2025 election results are in, and the political direction of several major cities and states has been decided. I'm Georgia Howe. John's off this morning. It's Wednesday, November 5th, and this is Morning Wire. This election cycle showed that the Democratic Party has taken a hard swerve left. Where does the party go from here?
The Democratic Party is moving ever more progressive left, heading down to full-on socialism.
And as the government shutdown breaks records, Transportation Secretary Duffy warns of a massive air travel fallout.
You'll see mass cancellations, and you may see us close certain parts of the airspace because we just cannot manage it.
Thanks for waking up with Morning Wire. Stay tuned. We have the news you need to know.
Running a small business is anything but small. For business owners, it's all-consuming from day one. Every decision feels massive and new challenges arise daily. What makes the biggest difference, though, is having the right platform with all the tools needed for success, one that grows the business and simplifies the complex decisions that come with entrepreneurship. That's where Shopify comes in. Shopify's point-of-sale system acts as your unified command center, seamlessly connecting in-store and online operations across up to 1,000 locations. This means customers can shop however they want, whether that's endless aisle browsing, buying online and picking up in the store, or traditional shopping, while your staff has everything they need to close the sale every single time. But here's the real advantage. Since acquiring customers costs so much, Shopify POS helps you keep the ones you have through personalized experiences and first-party data that gives your marketing team a real edge. The proof is in the numbers. An EY report shows businesses using Shopify POS see a 22% better total cost of ownership and an average 8.9% sales boost compared to the competition. Get all the big stuff for your small business right with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period and start selling today at shopify.com/morningwire. Head over to shopify.com/morningwire. Again, that's shopify.com/morningwire.
Last night, Democrats scored a number of significant victories in statewide races across New York, New Jersey, Virginia, and California. Daily Wire senior editor Cabot Phillips has the latest on the results. So, Cabot, this is the first big election night since President Trump's win in 2024. Tell us, what did we see?
Yeah, we said all week that Republicans would be facing an uphill battle here. The party in control of Washington almost always struggles in off-year elections, and the biggest races this year were all in blue states. But there's no doubt the Democrats, in many ways, exceeded expectations last night as they easily won both governor's races in Virginia and New Jersey, passed a significant ballot measure in California, and then scored an overwhelming mayoral victory in New York City. We'll start with that race, which was defined by enormous turnout. By 5 p.m., 4 hours before polls closed, there had already been more votes cast than in any mayoral race in more than 3 decades. And that enthusiasm clearly benefited one man, Zoran Mamdani. The political newcomer and self-avowed socialist trounced independent Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa by significant margins. Here he is speaking last night at his victory rally.
New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change, a mandate for a new kind of politics, a mandate for a city we can afford, and a mandate for a government that delivers exactly that. On January 1st, I will be sworn in as the mayor of New York City.
Now, when it comes to New York City, it's worth noting it's not all doom and gloom for Republicans this morning. There are plenty of folks in D.C. on the right who feel that his election victory could ultimately be a gift for the GOP come next November. Many of his policies are just wildly unpopular nationwide. So don't be surprised if you see Republicans working to promote him as a new standard bearer for the Democratic Party. You'll see his face in a lot of campaign ads outside of New York.
All right, so potentially a small silver lining for the GOP there. Now, let's look at New Jersey. They elected a new governor.
Yeah, all week this race appeared to be quite close. Most of the latest polling showed a dead heat, but it was not. Democrat Mikey Sherrill ultimately ended up scoring a decisive victory over Republican Jack Ciattarelli, with the race being called within the first hour of polls closing. That was not expected. And if you dig into the numbers, ultimately, this election was decided by women. According to exit polls, Ciattarelli won with male voters by a comfortable 6-point margin. But among female voters, Sherrill won by a stunning 20-point margin. Democrats also won big on two of the most important issues, healthcare and the economy. Exit polling showed that nearly half of New Jersey voters listed those as their top priority. Cheryl won those folks by a more than 2-to-1 margin. And much like Donald Trump, Chitterelli did best in New Jersey among working class voters and white men. But in a state like New Jersey, those groups are simply not enough of the electorate to make a difference in the end. And that's a big reason you saw Democrats have so much success there.
Next, we had the governor's race in the Commonwealth of Virginia. What did we see there?
Well, it was another clean sweep for Democrats as their candidates for governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general all came out on top. The governor's race ended up being a blowout with Abigail Spanberger defeating Winsome Earl Sears handily. The last few votes were still being counted early this morning, but it looked to be among the largest margins of victory for a Democrat gubernatorial candidate in the state in decades. Republicans ultimately really struggled to drive turnout in the state's deep red rural counties, while Spanberger ran up the score in heavily populated blue counties near D.C., well outpacing Kamala Harris's performance from a year ago. That's important. For example, last November, Harris won the all-important Loudoun County by 16 points, but last night, Spanberger won it by 29%. And more broadly, if you zoom out, every single county in Virginia shifted blue compared to the 2024 election. Democrats very happy with the outcome in Virginia.
Now, what about the attorney general in Virginia? There was a lot of scandal surrounding Jay Jones over his text messages. How did he fare?
Yeah, the Democrat Jones took a major hit in the polls after leaked messages showed him wishing death on the children of a political opponent, saying, quote, "Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy." Spanberger took a lot of heat for refusing to disavow him, but ultimately Democratic voters in the state were seemingly undeterred as he still came out on top, though it was considerably closer than the governor's race. And finally, down ticket, Democrat Ghazala Hashmi also prevailed, becoming the first Muslim woman to hold statewide office in the U.S.
Now, wrapping up, California had Prop 50 on their ballot this year. That was widely expected to pass. How did it do?
Yeah, as expected, Deep Blue California voted overwhelmingly to pass Prop 50. Remember, that is a constitutional amendment that will give the Democratic state legislature the power to redraw the state's congressional maps. That means that by 2026, the state could add an additional 5 Democratic House seats.
Well, Democrats no doubt waking up very happy this morning. We'll see how Republicans respond over the next year or so before midterms. Cabot, thanks for reporting.
Absolutely.
You know that nagging feeling about the doctor's appointment you've been putting off forever? Maybe it's a dentist cleaning that you're now 6 months overdue for, or the annual checkup that somehow turned into a 3-year gap. With ZocDoc, you can find and book the right doctor entirely online, and honestly, you'll probably have an appointment scheduled before the end of this ad. Finding the right doctor used to be such a hassle, but ZocDoc has really changed the game. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. They've got over 100,000 doctors across every specialty you can think of: mental health, dental, primary care, urgent care, you name it. The best part is you can filter for exactly what matters. Doctors who take your insurance are nearby and have great ratings from real patients. Once you find someone who looks like a good fit, you can see their actual available slots and book instantly, no more phone tag. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/wire to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/wire. Again, that's ZocDoc.com/wire today.
This election cycle has highlighted a growing socialist appetite among young Democrats. Here to break down the state of Democratic politics after Tuesday's results is Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce. So, Tim, let's start in New York City. What did we learn there?
Right. Mamdani won as projected, and maybe that's not a huge surprise in a deep blue area like New York City. And there's an argument to be made that maybe Andrew Cuomo could have won had he not split the anti-Mamdani vote with Curtis Sliwa. But none of that changes how the Democratic Party has approached Mamdani. The truth is that for as radical as Mamdani is to the mainstream of American politics, he faced essentially no public resistance from Democrats. Some of the biggest names in the party aligned with him, including House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. And that means something. Jeffries was just last year working against the Democratic Socialists of America, of which Mamdani is a member. Jeffries then dismissed DSA members as virtue signalers on Twitter. Now he's unable to distance himself from Mamdani. Here's a clip from Monday.
Progressives who are disappointed at your slow embrace of Zohran Mamdani, and yesterday saying you do not believe he's the future of the party.
What I indicated is that if we truly believe, as many of us do, that Donald Trump represents an existential threat to everything that in order for us to get from where we are to where we need to go and end the national nightmare, then House Democrats are going to have to be successful in taking back control of the House of Representatives.
Now, there's a sense that many Democrats weren't pleased with Mamdani. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer never endorsed him, and neither did former President Barack Obama, though Obama did call Mamdani over the weekend to compliment his campaign. All of this speaks to a tension these politicians see between Mamdani as a broadly unpopular figure, but very popular among the Democrats' left-wing base, which, with Mamdani's win, is in its ascendancy.
Right. Well, that's in America's biggest and most influential city. But did we also see that same pattern in the other elections?
Yeah, and Virginia is a really good example. Now, Democrat Abigail Spanberger has a reputation for being a moderate, but she struggled to come up with coherent answers on transgender policy, for instance. Here she was in a debate last month.
Once again, the question was, should transgender girls who are biological males be allowed to use girls' bathrooms and play on girls' sports teams in K through 12? You have 15 seconds to clarify.
In cases across Virginia, I think it's incumbent upon parents and educators and administrators in each local community to make decisions locally.
That's what this is about.
She also never distanced herself from the Democrats' nominee for state attorney general Jay Jones, despite his myriad of scandals, which we've covered. The Washington Post put it this way on Monday. If Jones rides Spanberger's coattails to victory, it would be a sad reflection of a discomforting willingness among voters to prioritize partisanship over human decency. But that statement is still very much applicable to Democrats such as Spanberger, who endorsed Jones and never backed away. And this is a trend in Democratic politics right now. Up in Maine, Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner hasn't really felt any Democratic backlash, except within his own campaign, from having a Nazi tattoo. Here's Senator Bernie Sanders last month looking past it.
I am not overly impressed by a squad of media running around saying, what do you think about the tattoo on Graham Plattner's chest? Between you and me, there might be one or two more important issues. But let me go there. I'm not Graham's best friend. I met him several times. We did a rally in Portland, Maine, a great rally. I am impressed by the guy.
So Democrats have this trend that party loyalty seems to be trumping issues that look noxious to most Americans.
Well, an unfortunate sign of the times. Tim, thanks for reporting.
Thanks for having me on.
The government is still shut down, potentially causing major problems for upcoming holiday travel and delaying SNAP benefits for tens of millions of Americans. Here with the details is Daily Wire reporter Amanda Prestigiacomo. So, Amanda, this government shutdown is officially the longest in American history. We're at 36 days now. Amid all of the election activity yesterday, there was another vote. Tell us what happened there.
Yeah, the Senate voted on a continuing resolution that passed the House, and for the 14th time, it failed. Only two Democrats, Pennsylvania's John Fetterman and Nevada's Catherine Cortez Masto, voted alongside Republicans to open the government.
So what did Democrats say was their reason for voting this way and keeping the government shut down?
Well, Democrats are actually saying that it's Republicans who are keeping the government shut down. And they're largely arguing that the shutdown is happening because Republicans are not on board with certain health care subsidies that they want. Here's Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries just yesterday.
There's nothing to be optimistic about relative to the cruelty and the pain that Donald Trump and Republicans continue to inflict on the American people. They refuse to address the healthcare crisis that Republicans have created.
Republicans, on the other hand, they say what they've been saying from the beginning, that the CR bill is clean. It merely maintains current funding levels without any policy changes. So Democrats refusing to vote for it, they're the ones who are keeping the government shut down. House Speaker Mike Johnson also said that Democrats want to force American taxpayers to fund health care for illegal immigrants. And he said that's why this stalemate is in place right now.
In addition to their refusal to support the CR and reopen the government, the Democrats have had the audacity to also demand something new. They demanded $1.5 trillion with a T in new spending obligations. Included in that is nearly $200 billion of taxpayer funds that they want to use to restore free health benefits to illegal aliens. In that same proposal, as their ransom for reopening the government, they want to cut $50 billion from the rural hospital fund that the Republicans just got signed into law on July 4th.
Now, with the shutdown continuing, we heard a stark warning from Transportation Secretary Duffy about upcoming air travel. What did he say?
Duffy said yesterday that if this government shutdown continues, air travel is going to be severely restricted during the holiday season. Here's a direct quote. You will see mass flight delays, you'll see mass cancellations, and you may see us close certain parts of the airspace because we just can't manage it because we don't have the air traffic controllers. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that disruptions and delays, they're already happening.
On Sunday alone, more than 5,000 flights traveling to and from U.S. airports were delayed. Since the Democrat shutdown began, 4 times as many staffing shortages have been reported at air traffic control facilities compared to last year. More than 13,000 air traffic controllers are continuing to work without pay. Because of the Democrats, these men and women who keep our airspace safe and moving will miss a second paycheck in a row this Friday.
Now, finally, Amanda, food benefits known as SNAP have become a major focus during this shutdown. What's the latest there?
Yeah, so Trump said yesterday that a potential delay for this month's SNAP benefits, that's going to continue for 42 million Americans until the, quote, radical left Democrats reopen the government, which he said they could easily do at any time. The USDA's main webpage right now, it says that they don't have the funds to give out benefits because of Democrats. Trump's message, though, it does come just one day after the administration said that it would dip into emergency funds to partially fund SNAP. That would be with a $4.6 billion payment following a federal judge's order. A court filing did say, though, that process could take a few weeks or even several months.
While tens of millions of Americans impacted by this, we'll see if Democrats come back to the table now that the elections have wrapped up. Amanda, thanks for reporting.
You're welcome.
Thanks for waking up with us. And for those listening to the show, you can now watch it for free on Daily Wire Plus. We'll be back later this evening with more news you need to know.